everybody. I'm Cassidy, one of your Indianapolis Colts cheerleaders, and you're watching the Bleav in Colts podcast.
Welcome back to Bleav in Colts. I'm Lawrence Owen. With me, as usual, are my guys Jerraud Powers and Rodney McLeod. And there's been a lot of news flying around about the Indianapolis Colts this past week after the hiring of former offensive coordinator, now head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, Shane Steichen. Looks like he's trying to fit his offensive staff together. A lot of moves, a lot of talks about. One of them hasn't necessarily happened yet. We've already got a running backs coach. We've already got a tight ends coach. Looks like we've got an offensive coordinator in the making, and there's a possibility we may end up losing a very much loved coordinator on this team to another AFC team here in the next coming days. But before we get into all that, just real quick, Jerraud, how you been doing this past week?
Been doing good, busy, same old story with the kids, traveling, sports. It's just a lot, but a lot of fun. Sun is back out down south, so it's a little warm this week. So, it always puts you in a good mood.
Yeah. Talk about the sun. There is none here. It all came up to us, and now it's just downpour and thunderstorms.
We had all that rain last week, so
yeah.
Y'all, you enjoy that.
We will. We promise. Rodney, how's it going with you, my guy?
I'm doing well, man. Hanging in there. Tired, but all is well. Just a lot of stuff going on, foundation right now. So a lot of meetings, just busy, but using the off season to the best of my abilities and enjoying the time off.
Awesome. Why don't you, I was just curious if you could go ahead and remind the listeners out there a little bit about your foundation and how it's doing and all that neat stuff. A little update on it.
Yeah. We started our foundation in 2020. We've, made a lot of progress, but still young, very geared towards, youth development and removing a lot of those labels that have been placed, in the underserved communities, and just really trying to focus on areas of education, youth development, health and wellness, and community empowerment. Got a few programs that we kicked off, mentorship programs going well here in Philly. Have our second annual Youth Leadership Summit coming up this upcoming May. So we're excited, man, about what's in store and got our big fundraising gala. If you boys, are ever on this East Coast, want to come out in the summertime, it's a nice event. Ask everybody to come out in their favorite kicks. And dress to impress, but just a good time to raise some money for the kids.
Sounds awesome. Was you getting ready to say something, Jerraud?
No, I was just about to say, following Rodney's Instagram story page in the off season, I saw you posted earlier about working out, and I think it was you and the wife working out and doing all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
You gotta find ways to stay active that's a little bit different from your normal day-to-day activity. So I used to switch up my workouts and try something new just to keep me engaged and in shape as well.
Yeah, man. We hit that rumble up this morning. That was intense. and they're on the bags and everything and the core. So it was good. You got to spend some different, quality time, with the wife in different areas. So we both like fitness, and it worked out.
Awesome. Hey, I want to remind everybody that BetOnline remains your number one source for all your sports betting this season, from the NBA, NFL, baseball, you name it, they've got it. You'll always find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends at BetOnline. BetOnline features live betting, free contests, and live scores for almost any sport or game imaginable. We're the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite leagues and events. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use promo code Bleav, that's BLEAV, to receive your rewards. BetOnline, where the game starts. So we're going to jump in real quick for a possible, it looks like the Indianapolis Colts are going to lose a coordinator, a well-loved coordinator, not only in the building, but as fans as well, with, the Cleveland Browns reaching out, asking to interview former Cleveland player Bubba Ventrone. And, as many of you know, he was the special teams coordinator. Rodney, you worked under him for quite a bit this past season. Do you have any thoughts about Bubba and him going over to Cleveland and what they'd be gaining with him?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've said a lot about Bubba, in past episodes, but he is truly respected in this league. He's been able to have a long career as a special teams player, and then he's doing the same now as a special teams coach. And he has a great resume that he's been able to put on display and helped the Indianapolis Colts, win a lot of games over the years. So, if he does end up taking a job in Cleveland, as reports are saying that, they're losing, someone who's meant a lot and had a lot of impact in that building, through not as a coach, but obviously his impact, as a human being, I think, around the building. And so, Cleveland will be gaining a great man and even better coach.
Absolutely. Jerraud, losing a guy like Bubba Ventrone, the Colts special teams units has been one of the best in the league for the last few years, ever since he's been the offensive coordinator. How hard do you think it would be for the Colts to Shane Steichen to fill that spot?
I think it'll be hard, just like what Rodney said, just far as the impact he had on the team. Now, I don't think it'll be hard to find another special teams coach, but to find one that will be just as good and have the impact, that he had, I think it is going to be a difficult spot, because whenever you got a new staff in, normally it's a few guys left from the old staff that kind of fit with the new transition that's going on, and you would hope that someone with the voice that he had and the respect that he had within the organization that he would hang on and stay. And it's kind of, when you see coaches making lateral moves, it kind of makes me wonder a little bit that was maybe some feelings involved when the interim coach was hired, when everybody thought that Shane was that he was going to probably get that interim job, and does he want out of Indy? It just makes me think about a lot of other different type of feelings and emotions that could come up, especially in the off season when you're trying to do what's best for your career. I always tell people all the time, it's always certain points of the season and the off season in particular, to where you got to kind of be selfish and do what you got to do to better your career and be happy and find your peace. And if that's what he has to do, is make a lateral move to go back to Cleveland, somewhere that he's familiar with, and have that same impact that he had in Indy, but be happy, on the other side, I wish him well and wish him the best, but I definitely think it's going to be hard to fill that void.
Oh, absolutely. You make a great point. When Frank Reich was let go and the interim coach was, up in the air, there was a lot of people saying that Bubba should have been, very much at the top of that list for the interim, him and Gus, right? Mm-hmm. With how they had, had their units performing over the season. So big points there.
And special teams is big, man. I think a lot of us undervalue that unit and how important it is. But a great example of that was the Super Bowl, where you saw the difference. Probably, one of the biggest plays of the game that set up Kansas City to take the lead was a punt return. So, we often overlook the impact that a special teams unit can have on the game. But I think, for Indianapolis, they were able to see that over the years, through Bubba.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Shane did have the ability to, over the weekend, hire a couple position coaches, namely DeAndre Smith, who was the running backs coach for the New York Giants last year. And before that, it was just a long list. I'm not going to go through the list because it's a different college almost every year for the last 20 years. Okay. But it's just a different college after different college being running backs coach. And my question is, when a guy has went through that many colleges, What's the pluses and minuses of seeing a guy who's went through that many colleges in such a long period of time?
Well, for one, you get to work with a lot of different people, so you get different perspectives about football from that particular position. So it only helps you gain knowledge, gain more wisdom about how you conduct your room, how you're handling your business, how you're coaching players or whatnot. A lot of times people look at some guy's resume and see that they've been a lot of places, and the first thing you think is like, man, is this guy getting fired everywhere he goes? Is he's a bad fit everywhere he goes and all that? And that's not the case. I have a roommate in college that was my roommate 4 years in college, and he jumped right into coaching right after college. And, I want to say it's been 10 or 11 years. He's probably been at like 7 or 8 different schools. And it's just where the opportunity lies. That's just where you're going. Like Rodney said, when the opportunity presents itself, if you think that's the move that's going to help further your career, you're going to do that, personally. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he can handle another great running back. Obviously, what we saw from Saquon, this past year made us remember the old Saquon. I know Saquon's been battling injuries for the most part, but to see his explosiveness and see how he was running the ball and the success that he had this year, maybe DeAndre was one of the main reasons why Saquon is now probably going to end up being one of the highest paid running back in the league when it's all said and done. So maybe he can have that same impact with JT. We know JT had some injuries this year that, was our first time seeing him, kind of not being the JT that we know. So maybe he'll bring that life to JT as well.
Absolutely. Rodney, you got a firsthand look this year against a Mr. Saquon Barkley, right?
Yeah.
What did you think of the running game that DeAndre Smith had brought with the Giants?
Yeah, I really thought he did a excellent job there. With Saquon, you saw the Saquon of old. As if he looked like a rookie again, and how explosive he was, and his dynamic capabilities. And so he was a huge reason why they had a lot of success. I think that running back group as a whole, unfortunately in our game, we gave up a lot of yards on the ground, particularly late in the game, and Saquon wasn't in the game. It was their backup. And so, when you have that level of depth, and you feel comfortable bringing in your number 2, number 3, and they're still, as effective or close to the starter, I think that really speaks to, coaching. Right. And so even though he has, a track record of being at so many places, maybe for short spans of time, like Jerraud said, I think it's just where the opportunity takes you. Right. If, looking at his resume, a lot of it that happened in college, and maybe his trajectory was to now be here in the league. And, he had to climb the ladder in a way that on his way to the league, this is what was asked or required of him. And so I, have great confidence that he's going to step into a room, with honestly probably one of the best running back groups in the league, with JT and Zach Moss right there. And so, you have to like what he's going to bring to the table in addition with what already exists in the locker room.
Absolutely. Another guy that they went out and got over the weekend was Tom Manning. Tom, the only other stint he had in the NFL was with the Indianapolis Colts back in 2018, back when Eric Ebron was here and had his best year of his career. Outside of that, he was coaching over in Toledo, and then a lot of times the offensive coordinator for Iowa State. Now he's brought in as the tight ends coach. Guys, any thoughts about Tom Manning and what he could bring to the table here in Indy?
I don't know much about him, but I know he's walking into a situation where that tight end room can become special. You got some young guys in there that really, showed some things this year, and if that's what our organization brass think that we need as the head of that tight ends room to kind of fulfill all of that potential that we have in there. I Bleav in him. Like I said, I don't know much, so I don't want to speak, too much as if I do know about him, but I know he has a young special room that can end up being, a great group of tight ends that we have.
Yeah, there was a couple So Iowa State they just had their two best tight end duo in history. They're going into they just they had Charlie Kohler and Chase Allen left and moved on to the NFL this past year, and that maybe that's something, one of the reasons why, I mean, he's able to coach up guys well enough to where they can actually make the NFL, right? I mean, that's kind of a thought process. And then of course, in college, tight ends are used quite a bit, right? And in different situations. What are your thoughts there, Rodney?
Yeah, I think my thoughts are he's walking into the room that has a great, potential to be, as Jerraud said, one of the best trios in the league. I think we have a tight end group with plethora of skill sets, right? When you think of Mo, you think of Jelani and Colin as well. They all are very gifted and are unique in its own. And so, if you're talking about a guy who has some history there of being able to establish tight ends, but more importantly, I think you're looking just how do you maximize their skill sets and get the most out of your players as you coach them. And so if he has that sort of ability and characteristics, I think it's going to be a great relationship that'll last for some time.
Absolutely. There was a couple. There's an additional tight end on the roster that did not get to play this past year for the Indianapolis Colts.
Ogletree. Yeah, Tree's gonna be nice, man. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I go ahead and add four to the rotation. It could be very spooky, man. Tree is I like him.
What was your thoughts on Andrew Ogletree during training camp and all that when you was opposite him? You're a safety, he was a tight end. What did you think about Andrew Ogletree?
Physical and confident. Those are the two things that really stood out to me. Initially just looking at him, he kind of went under the radar, but quickly, and I would add playmaker. That was one thing you saw on film early on, just his ability to catch the ball at this highest point, one hand grabs. I think he caught one hander on me and it shocked me. I'm like, what? I said, hold on. You know what I'm saying? It grabs your attention. And that's what he did early on. He grabbed a lot of veterans' attention in the way that he went about his business. He can block, strong at the point of attack. And like I said, the ability to go up confidently and make those contested grabs.
Absolutely. I had the pleasure of interviewing him one-on-one during training camp this past season. And then he had the very next day, he had the injury. And I was like, I felt so horrible. Moving on, one more guy still waiting in the wings. The reports are saying that the passing game coordinator for the Jacksonville Jaguars and former Indianapolis Colts offensive assistant, Bob Cooter, will be the next offensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts. They're working on a deal right now. He has been around the league since he was in Indy back in 2011, from his stint 2009 to 2011. He's been with Kansas City, the Denver Broncos, the Detroit Lions, the Jets, and then the Eagles as a consultant back in 2021. And then, of course, as I said last year, with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Looking at the Jaguars and how the Colts played them twice this past season, and they look much better on offense through the air in the passing game with Bob back there as their passing game coordinator than they have in years past. You think so?
Yeah, I think he's had the opportunity to be around a lot of great coaches that I've also been around. And so I know it's a room of excellence and a room that offensively, over time has done well. You look at Doug Peterson and you look at Nick Sirianni, but also, Shane Steichen, who they're bringing over. And I think you have to like those individuals in that circle, in that community that he's been around, been able to learn from, and mature and grow. And now, he's afforded the opportunity to be able to lead a offense, that does have weapons and has the capabilities of being one of the best as well, in the league. So I like the addition, and I think I don't know much about him, but like I said, he comes from good company.
Jerraud, Jim Bob came into the Indianapolis Colts same year you did. Do you remember him?
Oh,
yeah, I remember Jim Bob. He was when I got to the Colts, when I got drafted, I want to say he might have been a GA at the time. And we used to give him a hard time about his name, Jim Bob Cooter. It just sounds like he's from, somewhere to where, football is not even thought of. But I want to say he got a Tennessee background, Knoxville background. But I remember him having a brilliant mind then. I remember him spending a lot of time with Peyton Manning and learning and trying to soak everything in. And you can just tell that, he was going to ascend in the NFL, because even though he was a GA, and if you know anything about GAs, they don't really got a voice like the other assistants. They're there to kind of help out where needed, but Jim Bob always had some type of role within the offense and some type of responsibility. So you knew when you walked in the room that he was going to ascend fast in the NFL, and it's pretty cool to see it. I want to say when Jim Caldwell went to the Detroit Lions, he hired Jim Bob to come with him. I could be wrong on that, but I want to say I remember that, because when I was playing in Arizona, I think I remember all us talking in pregame and all those type things. But I think Jim Bob's going to do well, like you guys said. I mean, he's been around some great coaches. He's had some success, and he's another young mind, a young offensive mind that you see that's going on around the league now. It seems like everybody's trying to go the young route and continue to be innovative in how you approach and how you conduct an offense in the NFL. So I think he's going to be fine.
Yeah, actually, back in 2014, he was hired as the quarterbacks coach for the Detroit Lions. And then the very next year, he became the offensive coordinator for 3 years straight over there in Detroit. So
they had success. Yep.
Yes.
Jim Caldwell had success over there. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, that is it for the news about the Indianapolis Colts and some of the coaching moves that's going on right now with the team. Appreciate your guys' thoughts and little insights about guys that we had talked about. Thanks so much. Any final words, Jerraud?
I do not. Off season, Rodney. What you doing today?
Yeah, Rodney. What's your plans today, huh?
Wherever life takes me, man. That's the ability about the off season. Time is like endless. I have no real set schedule in a sense, maybe early on, but then after that, you just let the day go wherever it takes. Yeah, man.
You got a random meeting here and there, though, right?
Yeah, no football obligations, though.
Yeah, that's awesome. Get to spend some time with the family and stuff, man, and the people you care and love about. Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Here, Bleav in Colts, brought to you by Bet Online. I'm Lawrence Owen with my guys, Jerraud Powers and Rodney McLeod. And as usual, go Colts.
Do you believe?